What's going on, traders? Just want to give you guys a quick update on my thoughts when it comes to the overall market. So first things first, when it comes to the SPY, we have broken above that key level of 682. We talked about this in the last video, and interesting enough, today we saw bears try to break us below 679. I'll let you guys know that if we manage to break below 679 and hold, then there's a good chance we're going to start heading towards 675. Fortunately, bulls stepped in. They didn't allow that to happen. We pumped back towards the upside. We got a beautiful bullish engulfing candle here, and we ended up closing above that 682 level, which leaves the door open towards 690. Now, your next key level from this point on is 685 psych level and 686.5. You got a rejection here, you got multiple rejections here, you got multiple rejections here. So I do imagine that we're going to get somewhat of a slow grind towards the upside unless we get some type of news that can really put some momentum behind the SPY. But for now, I do imagine that as long as we stay within the range of these guys here, there's a good chance that we're just going to see a slow grind towards the upside. You got a lot of bullish wicks, a lot of a lot of bearish wicks, a lot of bearish candles all in this area. So it's probably going to be a pretty annoying market until we get some type of news, whether that's the government opening back up, maybe stimulus check news, maybe OpenAI makes a deal with the Justice League. I don't know. But right now, I do imagine that the market is waiting on either banks to open back up or news to kick in. So that's what we're looking at when it comes to the SPY. When we look at quant data, as you guys can see, there's a lot of exposure at the 690 level. There's also exposure at around 685. And then you look here at around 683, you see that there was put exposure gathering at this 683 level. So bears were really trying to hold the SPY down, keep it within range so it doesn't break out towards the upside. So I do imagine tomorrow we'll probably start seeing a push towards the upside at around 685. Highest we're looking at is 690. We got 1 billion in call exposure at this call wall when it comes to 690. So something you want to pay attention to when it comes to the SPY. I'm not saying we're heading towards 690 tomorrow. I'm just saying pay attention to this. All right. Now, when we look at the triple Qs, I would argue that the triple Qs it kind of looks worse than the SPY, right? And the reason why I'm saying that is because when you look at the 2-hour time frame, is you're looking like you're forming some type of lower high here. Now, it's not yet confirmed, but you have a high here and potentially a lower high here. And the reason why I say it's not confirmed just yet is because we're still holding above this 617 level. But if we get a bearish candle here and we manage to break below 617, then chances are we're looking at a lower high. Then we'll start heading towards this gap fill all the way at 615, or the middle of the gap at 615, which is your major key level. So you see right here, there's a lot of structure at the 615 level. We break below that, then chances are we're heading towards 612.8, 613 range. And then from there, we'll pretty much fill our gap and we'll have to wait and see what happens from there. But for now, triple Qs looks okay. I wouldn't say it looks great, but you did break this trend line here. You got somewhat of a, I guess, inverse head and shoulders pattern. You can argue that. You got a shoulder here, head here, potentially a shoulder here. So it's looking like triple Qs has the potential to break towards the upside. We just want to get that higher high confirmation. For now, as long as the triple Q stays above 615, I would say be neutral / bullish. But if triple Qs can hold above 622 and manage to get us above 623, let's actually go back to the 2-hour time frame because I want to show you guys something here. So if we can get above this trend right here, there's a trend right here, right? If we can get above this trend right here, which we constantly are rejecting, or we've constantly rejected throughout the day, then I do imagine that we're going to break further towards the upside and start heading towards that 627, 626.6 more or less. And then from there, you're looking at a move towards this gap fill at around 630. So what we want to see when it comes to the triple Qs is a break and retest of this trend here, right? You feel this, you feel this minor gap here at around 623.5. And then you continue towards the upside, towards that 626, 627 level. So that's what we're looking at. Be sure to mark this trend on your charts. We've been having a hard time breaking or at least holding above this trend line here on a 2-hour time frame. So that's something you want to pay attention to when it comes to the triple Qs. We go back to quant data, and if we look up the exposure for the triple Qs, let me type it in real quick. But if we look up the exposure for the triple Qs here and see where the call walls are, we see that there's plenty of exposure at around 625, and then there's also more exposure at around 630. So something you want to pay attention to here. The premiums are not anything crazy in comparison to the SPY, but still, I do believe that it's very much possible that we see a move towards the upside when it comes to the triple Qs, possibly see at least at minimum a retest of that 627 level. So that's what we're looking at for the triple Qs. Another concern of mine is Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been dumping this whole time. However, despite Bitcoin dumping, it's still trading within this falling wedge. So it's not really a reason to panic just yet, but the fact that Bitcoin is dropping could be a sign that the market will eventually want to catch up. And it kind of makes sense, right? Because we do have gaps lower down when it comes to the SPY, and we also have gaps on the triple Qs when it comes to the downside. So at some point in time, if Bitcoin continues to stay like this, you're forming a bearish engulfing candle here. If Bitcoin continues to do this, I do imagine that the market is going to want to catch up with Bitcoin at some point in time, if we're considering Bitcoin a leading indicator. For now, as long as Bitcoin holds 97K, I would say it's safe to be neutral / bullish. But if Bitcoin can just break back towards the upside and get above this 107K level, we've seen Bitcoin have a really hard time getting above this level here. So we retested it. So we zoom in here, we retested it right here. And as you guys can see, we ended up rejecting right here. And then as you guys can see, there's a lot of structure in this area. So it's going to be a hard time for Bitcoin when it comes to that 107K level. But if we can break above that, that is a good sign or a good start for us to start heading towards all-time highs. What you really want to see here is a break out of this falling wedge pattern. I'm not guaranteeing it's going to happen, but that's something you definitely want to see. Now, what's important to note here when it comes to Bitcoin, a lot of bullish wicks down here. So even if we do get down here, and even if the market does just so happen to catch up with Bitcoin, I imagine as long as these guys hold, you're pretty safe. All right. Again, I'm not liking this candle, this bearish engulfing candle, but we'll have to wait and see what happens when it comes to Bitcoin. Something you want to keep an eye out for. Let's talk about gold real quick, and then we'll get into some stocks. So gold did exactly what we talked about, not down to the T, but we got pretty close to our key level, right? We said that gold can start heading towards 41.62. It went as high as 41.50. Not surprised by that, because 41.50 is a very important psych level. You see a rejection here. So we got pretty close. I do imagine that if the market is going to, I guess, take a dip from this point on, we could see a retest of 40.50 when it comes to gold. And then from there, we possibly pump back towards the upside and hit that 41.62 target. For now, gold does look like it could see a rejection from here. We'll just have to wait and see. So as you guys can see, we're forming some type of structure here, and we're trading against that structure when it comes to gold. So it's very much possible we reject from this point on and start retesting that 40.50 level. We'll have to wait and see. For now, I'm still bullish on gold. It just makes sense for us to see a dip towards the downside. All right, now a stock I want to talk about is AMD. So in the last video, we talked about how institutions had a lot of calls when it comes to AMD. Crazy enough, it ended up pumping towards the upside. Well, actually, we talked about this in the last video where I said that AMD could potentially fill this gap at 236 first. AMD ended up having an event today. Apparently, the event pumped AMD towards the upside, and then we just gave it all back. And now after hours, we're pumping towards the upside all over again. So hopefully you guys took profit if you did decide to jump into a trade on AMD, especially if you got in on this gap fill. If you didn't take profit after this pump towards the upside right here, where we pumped all the way to 249 more or less, you just hate money. All right, you clearly hate money. There's no way you jumped into AMD at the 236 gap fill and it pumped all the way to 249 and you said, nah, I want more. Like I keep telling you guys, just like I tell Discord members, greed is the final boss when it comes to retail traders. So hopefully you took profit. But if you did not take profit for whatever reason, right, there's hope here, right? There's hope because you're seeing AMD, you're obviously seeing AMD pump after hours, right? But there is hope because you're forming this bullish structure here, and it could be some type of, I guess, inverse head and shoulders pattern. This is ugly here, but you know, if it looks like the pattern, assume that it is until proven otherwise. But right now, you're breaking above this trend, so it's very much possible that AMD can start heading towards 255 from this point on. So you might just get lucky. It's looking pretty good. You bounced off this structure here. You bounced off this fair value gap here. So there's hope. All right, there is hope when it comes to AMD. Hopefully this move holds if you are in calls. I don't know what they said after hours, but the fact that it pumped during market open and then dumped and filled this gap and then pumped again after hours is crazy to me. Like that's crazy. But I'm assuming because banks are closed, that's the reason why, because they don't want to miss out on this move. Another stock we could talk about is Meta. Meta is this looks familiar, right? I mean, we just looked at AMD. So if you look at AMD, right, looks the same. Looks pretty much the same to me. I don't know. You tell me. Here. You look at Meta, and we're on the 4-hour time frame. Here, boom, boom. I don't know. You let me know. So Meta looks like it's on the verge of potentially breaking out if we're going to assume that it's going to repeat the same move as Meta. We don't want to jump the gun here. We want to see Meta break above 627. It's having a hard time there. If it manages to break above 627, then 632. Someone mentioned 632. He was actually right about that. It's okay to be wrong sometimes. You can't pinpoint every single level out there, but he mentioned 632. 632 is a key level, and then from there, 635 is still another key level. We had a hard time breaking above 635 more than 632, if anything. So I imagine 632 is pretty much butter at this point. But if we can manage to get above 627, 632, 635, and then from there you're looking at obviously 640, 642 more or less. And then if you can manage to get above these guys right here, you're on your way to 650 pretty easy. And then highs we're looking at, or highs I'm looking at, is about 680, at least for the short to intermediate term. So Meta's forming a bullish structure here. You just want to see some momentum gather here and possibly break this trend here and continue towards the upside when it comes to Meta. Another stock I want to talk about is Corewave. All right, so Discord members, we've been talking about this all day. Right, so what I want to see with Corewave, or a lot of us want to see with Corewave, is a retest of 85, 84. Very important area there. So as you guys can see down here, you got a lot of bullish wicks here. So you got a lot of bullish wicks, a lot of bulls here. So, you know, you got a bounce here, all around between the 85 and 84 level. Now, I'm not saying Corewave is going to exactly hit that level, but if Corewave can hit this trend line right here, I do think that's a perfect buying opportunity, right? Right around, I guess, as low as 83 it can go. But if Corewave can stay within this range, hit this trend line on the 4-hour, and bounce back towards the upside, I think that's a perfect buying opportunity. Now, me personally, I'm not sure if I want to add Corewave as far as shares to my portfolio just yet, but I will alert to Discord members when is a good time to buy. It's pretty much a good time to buy now, between 90 and 85. But me personally, I don't like stocks. Everyone goes about investing differently, right? I don't like stocks that depend so strongly on other stocks, and Corewave just seems like it depends so much on Nvidia. So if Nvidia cuts Corewave off, this thing is going straight to the abyss. So I'm not a fan of stocks like that, but I can understand why anyone would want to buy Corewave here, right? I definitely would not argue with you there. And you're talking about a 60-point drop, right, from all-time highs. So I definitely think this is a discount. You're looking at like a 30% discount here. So I wouldn't argue with you there. All right, so between 90 and 85, I do think is a good buying opportunity if you're interested in buying Corewave shares. And if you're looking for a trade when it comes to Corewave, we saw that institutions were loading up 125 strike calls for November 28th, right? And they're pretty cheap. The contracts are pretty cheap. I mean, I guess cheap is all about perspective, but $50 per contract, that's pretty cheap. All right, so that's what we're looking at for Corewave. Look for a potential bounce here. If it manages to break above 92 and actually hold on the 4-hour time frame, then I do imagine that this move is pretty much canceled out. All right, so something to look out for when it comes to Corewave. Looks like it's setting up for a really liquid move back towards the upside, and highest it could potentially go, at least for now, is at around 105, 110. If it wants to go higher, then yeah, you got a few structures you need to break for it to go higher. So 110 is one, 120 is another one, and then from there you're looking at about 135, 137 level. So Corewave looking pretty good. All right, lastly, I hope I didn't confuse anyone. It seems like it's only like one person in the comments, but in my last video, some guy went on a racist tangent. He cries every single video, but he went on some like weird racist tangent because he assumed that when I said it's a holiday week and the market is historically bullish on holiday weeks, that I was saying it's a short week. I never said the market was closed today. I never said that. Not once did I say that. All I said was a holiday week. So it doesn't matter if today was Martin Luther King Day, Valentine's Day. It doesn't matter. Holiday weeks are notoriously bullish when it comes to the overall market. But not once did I say it was a 4-day trading week. Not once did I say the market was closed today. So yeah, hopefully that guy gets some therapy. But hopefully I didn't confuse anyone else when it comes to that. Yes, the market is open today, but banks are closed today. So you're probably going to see crappy price action today, right? So yeah, that doesn't change the fact that historically the market is just bullish on holiday weeks, all right? So it didn't matter what holiday it was today, whether the market is open or closed. Historically, the market is bullish when it comes to these things. So hopefully I cleared that up. Hopefully there was no confusion. I mean, it doesn't really matter now because obviously you saw the market was open, but I just want to clear things up, and hopefully Hopefully that guy gets some therapy and some hearing aids on top of that, because I don't know what he was hearing. Other than that, that's really all I have. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Discord link will be in the description below. If you don't join the Discord, that's completely fine. I just appreciate the support. We're cleaning up the channel. We're cleaning up the trolls, all that fun stuff. We're blocking the trolls' comments from being seen. They're probably out there talking to themselves still, thinking that they are seen. But other than that, I really appreciate those who are here to learn and even help me learn. Some of you comment things and I'm like, whoa, I didn't know that, right? So we're all here to learn. We're all here to make money. At least I'm here to make money. I don't know what you're here for, but that's what I'm here for. So hopefully we can all continue to be successful together. And happy holidays, man. The holidays are coming up. I hope you guys enjoy it, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below about the government opening back up. Do you think it's a bullish catalyst, a bearish catalyst? Me personally, I'm leaning towards like a buy the rumor, sell the news, where we'll probably spike up for it and then we just give it all back, right? That's what I'm leaning towards. I could be wrong. There's no way for me to know for sure, but that's what I'm leaning towards. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments below, and until the next video, traders, have a good one.